Life in a third world country, good old USA. There is not much I can do on Twitter today while my computer acts as if it's so badly constipated it needs X-Lax or possibly one of the newer drugs for these problems. I would not know. I do not listen to the ads about any drugs. I do not know what the problem is, but whatever it is, it's debilitating. Perhaps it's the PTB powers that be with Twitter again purposely slowing me down with my message and censoring me. Maybe it's the United States government with the same goal? Or just maybe it's the storm on the East Coast affecting computers all over the country? My heart goes out to the victims of this terrible storm, and after what I have experienced and seen of our government, I would not be surprised to learn, at some later date, that this storm was seeded, destroying lives, businesses and belongings for some damn political reason. Right before the election? One of the reasons might be so the government can have another bogus reason to up taxes, because after all, the damage will be demanding great need and revenue for repairs. Of course there will be great need, but why should people have to deal with a selfishly seeded storm because of government greed? The question is this storm a natural disaster? And how does the public know that it actually costs the stated amount claimed by media to make repairs? How much of this money is going into government and politicians' pockets while victimizing the victims of the storm again? All I can do is share my horrific story of crimes by the elite in the hopes the public will listen and stand up against government corruption. Not just for my family and me, but for all Americans whom have not been victimized by the same will be in their lifetime if this government corruption is not addressed. Their children and grandchildren will have no life at all if this is not dealt with. In fact, I say these issues have already started the process against our offspring. This problem consists of destroying our foundation as a person, family member, employer, homeowner and citizen of our once great country, and in my opinion it's been a very long time since the United States of America was great. America's leaders have been corrupt for at least a century, getting worse with each election. And it does not matter whether Republican, Democrat or Independent rules. We are being led by the mob, and as George Carlin once so eloquently stated, and I paraphrase, it's the American people who are at fault for voting these idiots into office. The fact is, and what George Carlin probably did not understand, our votes mean nothing in this country. The elected president is already known and decided upon by a group of elite and their greedy, corrupt needs, having nothing to do with the people of the United States of America, which insults our United States Constitution. Well, my family and I are headed towards our deaths in the streets because of government corruption involving federal crime. What a useless waste of our lives and talent. Yes, I know I have been claiming our impending death for months, so you probably think, Asha's crying wolf. Look, she and her family is still alive. She's tweeting all the time. She could not be in too bad of shape. Not totally true. We are indeed alive, and a lot longer than I would have expected a year ago. Strangers sometimes throw us $100 or $200 now and again, which we buy groceries with that must last a month. The RV park where we reside, in a tent, takes our expensive art as collateral, but we have now totally run out of anything of value. We sold our one and only old red truck a couple of months ago so we could continue to pay for our storage unit where at least 20 boxes of legal documents reside along with family pictures and some clothes. All our furniture and valuables have been sold. No matter how hard we have tried, we have yet to be able to retain employment for over 5 years because of the mafia hit we received for reporting the $80 million embezzlement from my trust account, leaving me penniless, involving a number of national financial institutions, 2 trustees and a few elite attorneys with financial backgrounds, to the government authorities. One of these attorneys is one of our now Supreme Court Justices, Anthony M. Kennedy. After a good 12 years of trying to get the proper government authorities to investigate the original crime, as well as those that came as the mafia hit, and dealing with the many daily decisions on what to do next to earn an income. Alert media who refuse to report this. Right, our believed only way out of this, and stay alive, we have finally come to the point where we are being evicted from our tent. Many people ask, well, what about your husband Larry? He can work, can't he? Yes. And in fact we had a thriving wholesale business together, but the mafia hit I received, from government, as punishment for reporting horrendous criminal acts including the $80 million embezzlement destroyed his employment life too. Yet he continues to send out his resume and call potential employers in work that suits his experience perfectly. They never turn him down. They just never call back after I believe seeing my story all over Google when they go to look up our business, unfortunately named Deborah Broiner Limited. People in general do not actually read and understand these postings on Google. They see bank, lawsuit, foreclosure, and government corruption, then run away from us as fast as they can. Yes, this is what the truth is about federal crime committed against the public by financial institutions in this country. You report it and you will be severely punished by some secret mob squad from behind closed doors of secrecy and society's skewed perceptions. The government knows all kinds of tricks to use in making sure you land in the streets, unable to retain either employment or any government assistance, and they use them. First of all, your fine credit is now unlawfully destroyed. Another one of their tricks is to have the media report about how all these foreclosures are mostly the borrower's faults with the exception of a few robo-signers. Laugh out loud is all I can say to this. What's really going on are serious unaddressed federal crimes committed by financial institutions against their customers, the same kind of crimes that put Madoff in prison for over 150 years. The government's plan is you will become so disgusting and smelly no one will believe a word you say about the crimes committed against you or who committed them. Oh yeah, forgot to mention none of the charities or churches we contact help, while you probably donate money to these different causes. The only way to get food from a food bank is to arrive at 6 in the morning 50 miles away. The other destinations are farther, while we have no transportation. What's still worse, the food is disgusting. Mildew-laden, rotten or sour. So on top of being so poor we cannot afford to eat anything else, we fear very likely getting food poisoning if we were to eat it. Not a good idea no matter how you look at it, but when you sleep a mile away from the public bathrooms it can be a problem should you need to visit often. I mean, does not it make you furious to finally understand from the mouth of a victim to these financial crimes that many homeless and penniless citizens are created by financial institutions committing crimes against them as the government authorities purposely ignore these crimes, while you and at one time we pay federal income taxes for protection, by Attorney General Holder, from financial abuse by the financial institutions. We have found through our long journey that none of the government agencies do their jobs. As far as dealing with the federal crimes these financial institutions blatantly and arrogantly commit, well, the government authorities know if they ignore these victims they'll die in the streets never to be heard from again, so they plan on this, confident the next victim won't be warned as the last died from starvation and exposure lying in a cardboard box. And as I have said in previous articles, who's going to believe my story or any vagrant story about how a financial institution stole $80 million from their trust and this is why they live in the streets? You should believe them, but until you understand the enormity of government corruption in the United States of America you are not going to. In fact, society led by the media has already convinced you wrongly that most homeless and penniless are an albatross on society and therefore they deserve to be resented. They are not taking your money. The government, charities and churches are doing this. And these poor victims do not deserve to be resented. The government, charities and churches need them so they can demand taxes and donations that surely never get to the needy. This is double victimizing and so unfair. What's worse, you could be next. But we are not giving up, though often things look very grave, such as a week ago the owner of this RV park came to us after 2.5 years that we have been here and said, "I am tired of taking art and do not want to anymore. If you cannot pay with money you have to leave by November 1st. Oh my God, seeing myself with a backpack over my shoulder walking out of here with this alone to carry next to our weenie dog, Malibu under my arm and Larry possibly being able to carry our computer, better yet Willet behind him, is frightening. We would not be able to take anything else without a vehicle." Of course the owner has known our situation since we arrived July 2010 and has watched us continuously work on our survival. Looking for employment, writing and contacting publishers, and of course we have been so grateful for his willingness to take art rather than money. But here we are just weeks prior to something good happening for ourselves and he wants us out. The only place we can go is into the streets where all our work, my 4-volume memoir and our 4 adapted scripts are on the big computer, not the laptop because it quit on us months ago. It's old and overloaded. Nevertheless, my mind was going a million miles an hour as I visited fear and then Larry's wise words of belief, which are always so comforting. I must say, after spending a week of near freezing temperatures at night and early morning with no working heater, a tent door with broken zippers and zero food worth eating, plus 2 years of constant backhoe noise all day long just 100 yards from our tent, not to mention continuous computer outages, I felt I had come to the end of my tolerance. But I have been here before many times in the last 8 years and somehow rebound with Larry's loving support and Malibu's cuteness. Today, Larry has potential employment starting December 1, 2012. A friend encouraged the RV park owner to allow Larry and I to stay here until November 30th. I have an editor, and hopefully a new friend, who is kindly willing to forego payment until after my book on ebooks starts selling. My daughter Lexi is willing to pay our storage this month as she did last, and our next door tent neighbor, Gary, loaned us some money to buy groceries and a new heater. To add more miracles, another friend, Tom, on Twitter, made a video for me out of one of my articles as a surprise and tweeted it out to everyone on Twitter. Life is good, hugs to all. By Deborah Broiner. Heiress lives in a tent.